What I'm going to show now is essentially the same process of connecting to the DTP4500 and deploying an application. But this time, instead of using the SCA monitor in Spectra CX, I will perform all of those actions using the Oeadmin tool that comes with the Spectra core framework. I still have the DTP4500 board running, and it is running the platform model. I have a terminal connection to the board, and I am now able to run the Oeadmin executable. This is a tool that runs on the target itself and is a very small textual-based tool. You need to give the Oeadmin tool a reference to the name service so it can look up the domain manager. So if I type that core block in correctly, what you can see is the main menu for Oeadmin. The first thing I can do is the view command, which will display all of the domain objects. You can see the domain manager and its ID, no application factories and no applications. We have one device manager under which we can see the audio device, the executable device, and the log service. These elements comprise the default DTP45 platform. We can now install an application. I type in the name of the SAD file that has installed the application DTP4500 FM.sad.xml. If we view the domain objects again, we should now see an additional application factory for the DTP4500 FM waveform. Now that I have an application factory, I also have new options on the menu. For example, I can now create an application. I choose Create. I choose the application factory, which is number 1. Type in a name for the application instance. I will call it A1. And now it will create an instance of the DTP4500 FM waveform. And now that we have an instance of the application, if I do a view of the domain, I can show that we now have A1 under Applications, under which we have the 5 resources. At this point, I can start the application, and I will choose A1 to start. Now if I switch to the other console, I can see the dots again from the audio device processing the samples. So if I now choose to stop the application, I choose A1 as the application to stop. And then on the console, you can see the dots have stopped, so the application has stopped processing. Now I can release the application, application number 1, which will tear down all of the components. I can then uninstall the application factory, and I will choose our DTP4500 FM waveform. Again, I should be back down to the base platform with no applications or application factories installed. If I do a view, I can see the domain manager, no application factories, no applications, and our device manager with the 2 devices and the log service. That is a quick demonstration of the Oeadmin tool. One key thing to remember is that this tool runs on the target itself. Therefore, it can be a little unresponsive when applications are running and consuming CPU time. But it is useful, small, written in C, and uses the Eorbc to communicate with the core framework. So, it is very small and lightweight, can run on the target, providing administration over the serial port.